Hi guys, and welcome back to my Atlantic Division preview. Today we're previewing the Montreal Canadiens, who I have finishing sixth in the Atlantic Division. So they're coming off the playoffs where they, coming off missing the playoffs where they ended up finishing. I believe it was bottom five, and they picked Jesperi Kotkaniemi third. And yeah, I have them finishing sixth. Offensively, looking at their team, they have no depth at center. It's literally non-existent, and that's where this team fails. I actually like a guy like Dano as a third line guy a lot. However, Jonathan Drouin's a winger, and I think he's vastly overrated. If you look at his 5-on-5 stat comparables, it's that of arguably third liners, but second liners pretty much. And giving up a guy like Sergachev was a horrible. It wasn't a very good trade, and he's not really a center if you look at his defensive impact. Um, so I think he's underrated, but on the same side, a guy like Max Pacioretty is incredibly underrated, in my opinion, and he's coming off a terrible season where he had, I believe, it was a career low in shooting percentage. So if you're a fantasy guy, look to pick him up. He could even get traded and be a first line forward on another team. So I like a guy like Arturi Lehkonen. He's always been an advanced at Sterling. He's been incredible, and he has terrific underlying numbers. So I really like him. He's probably a good second line forward. Max Domi isn't horrible, but I like Alex Galchenyuk more. I didn't really like that trade. I think if you give Alex Galchenyuk offensive zone starts, a little bit of sheltered usage, and really good line mates, playmaking wingers, he can be a really good center option. A guy like Paul Byard isn't bad. I can't believe that he was on waivers and Calgary put him on waivers, but it happened, and it was a great pickup for Montreal. He's a good third line winger. The Joel Armia trade was nice. It's essentially leveraging the financial might of the Montreal Canadiens to pick up a guy like Armia, who isn't a bad player, with more time, with more ice time, and a greater opportunity. He could prove himself to be a good third or middle six forward, pretty much. And I really like Brendan Gallagher. If you look at his goals above replacement models, he's probably a top five to top seven right wing in the NHL. He impacts the game in so many ways, and I'd love him to be on the Leafs, but obviously that's never going to happen. And he's on a steal of a contract as well. So the defense without Shea Weber, who's going to miss NHL time until at least December, is pretty horrible. Jeff Petrie is the next guy up, and he's really good. He's incredibly underrated. I know the NHL Network did it, or Mike Johnson, I guess I should say, did a team of the most underrated players, and Jeff Petrie was on it, and I completely agree. His on ice results are absolutely incredible relative to his team. He drives results. He puts up good expected goals numbers, and although the one criticism I heard from Montreal Canadiens fans is that he's really inconsistent. However, I mean, in the end of the day, his stats end up coming up on the right side, and he drives play. His underlying numbers are really good, so I really like him. I think he's a top pairing guy, probably a number two defenseman, but he's a valuable piece, and he's not making that much money either. I think it's in the mid fives. Um, I like Victor Mete. I wish the Leafs would have drafted him. I don't know why they didn't. It's a terrific late round pick, but he should be playing bottom pairing minutes right now until he can figure out the NHL. Um, I don't really like Jordy Ben. I don't like Carl Alsner, or don't like Schlemko either. I think all three are terrible, and they shouldn't. Especially a guy like Alsner is incredibly overpaid, and he's slow, and he has this reputation of being a defensive defenseman, but he really isn't. He's not very good at all. I think I'm much higher in Carey Price than a lot of people are. He's not a $10 million player in my opinion, but the NHL Network just did a list on the top 10 goalies, and he wasn't even on that list, which is insane. He's a top 10 goalie, absolutely, probably top five. Um, so I'm picking a bounce back season for Carey Price. I'm a lot higher than him than a lot of people are. Excuse me. So Carey Price is talent wise is, in my opinion, the second best goalie in the NHL behind Bobrovsky. Maybe you could put Vasilevsky in there, and I think that with a guy like with the guy with the talent of Carey Price, he's not gonna slump again for that. I could see him putting up a 920. Um, but that's not going to be enough to keep the Montreal Canadiens in a lot of games. Looking at their possession stats, they're mediocre. So 50.06 Corsi for percentage is 15th in the NHL. Corsi for per 60, which was 51.56, which was 13th in the NHL. And Corsi against per 60 was 51.43, which is 24th in the NHL. So they're not generating too much offense, and they're giving up a lot on defense, which is why they're a completely average possession team. Goals for per 60, 1.9030. So we all know about Montreal's scoring issues, and that stems from their lack of depth at center, where they don't really have a ton of playmaking or two-way options or goal scoring options. And goals against per 60, 2.28, which is 16th. Their expected goals for per 60 was 2.32, 11th. Expected goals against 2.21, 11th. So pretty good. But what they do lack here, and what this is telling me, is that although the system could be working, they lack elite talent in terms of offensive players, in terms of finishers and playmakers. So you look at a guy, you look at teams that consistently outperform their expected goals for and goals against it. They largely rely on the talent and their elite talent, and that's something that Montreal Canadiens lack for sure. So PDO 98.58, which is 27th, which is what you're going to see from a lot of these bottom feeder teams. Um, and I know for the longest time they had a horrible 5-on-5 shooting percentage, and that should go up with guys like Pacioretty bouncing back. And penalty differential, they were minus 12, which is 22nd in the NHL, which isn't very good. So their most important player, Brendan Gallagher, if you look at his goals above replacement model comparables, they're up there with the best right wings in the NHL. So I love this guy, heart and soul type guy. He should be the captain of the Montreal Canadiens, in my opinion. And the least important player, or the garbage player, is Carl Alzner. I don't know why they signed him to that contract. He's horrible. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.